was a treat. Dr. Kevin Toman reached out to me and said, I like some of these conversations you've had with other docs about supplementation and about long-term health. I would like to join you because it's after 40 years as a veterinarian and now in California. I don't know if you've always been in California, Dr. Kevin. I have a lot of thoughts about it, and I have a lot of patients and clients who come to me looking for, I don't know, the longest, best life their pet can have. So
Sure.
I really appreciate that you reached out, and I'm fascinated by the ideas that you have and the ideas that you have collected as the various things out there that we could be doing for our dogs and cats to extend their life, but also extend the quality of their life. So,
Absolutely.
how do people, first of all, you can consult legally, if you will, in all the states of the United States. It's not
That's
like a
correct.
medical consult saying your dog needs surgery on that tumor. This is right. This is a lifestyle change, a wellness change. You're a concierge doctor in that way. How many people find you and how do they find you, first of all? Besides the fact that you came to me, I might have stumbled on you anyway, because this issue of longevity is of great interest to me, and I think it is to a lot of especially dog owners.
Mm.
How do
Okay.
people find you?
A direct answer to your question, for better or for worse, I think I'm the only veterinarian in the United States that specializes in pet longevity.
Yes.
And that makes me a little bit sad because you would think that
Oh,
that makes you I can't help but feel that every veterinarian ought to have a component of pet longevity in their practice. But the reality is, and I speak as a veterinarian for almost
right.
40 years, veterinarians are very good, Tracy, at sewing up cuts or lancing abscess or taking radiographs. But many veterinarians lack the time and lack the knowledge to sit on the floor and chat about not just the next month or 2 months of your pet's life, but how to help them over a year or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years down the road. And that's the advantage of a telemedicine consult for me.
Yes.
I don't have a next patient, a
Yes.
next parent owner breathing down my neck in
Yes.
20 minutes. And so, my typical consults, we can talk more about this in the longer term, but my typical consults are anywhere between 1 hour and 2 hours long. I ask folks to send me a bunch of paperwork about where their pet is now and where they've been from a medical perspective. And you and I sit down and we develop a strategy that is best for you and for your pet, regardless of whether you live in the wilds of Vermont or on the California coast like I do.
So that's really interesting. You're right. They find you because you are an N of one. There's nobody but Dr. Kevin doing this.
Yeah.
And you're right. As a veterinarian, you're not speaking ill of other doctors. The fact is, they're seeing at best one patient for every 15 minutes. Some of them are
Yeah.
forced because they've been bought out by bigger entities to even see
No
it
argument.
10 minutes. That gives you time only to try and hear the human, try and also pay attention to the animal as much as the animal can tell you, and deal
Yeah.
with problems right now. So you can't the only way you can look down the road is, oh, do you live in the wilds of Vermont? Then you should probably have a vaccination against lepto because your dog drinks raccoon pee in a puddle, right? But other than
True.
that, that's as far ahead as you can think. Or maybe a Lyme vaccine, possibly. Or let me just at least check the Lyme titer. Or there's lameness or pain somewhere, then the focus is entirely on that. I think one of the things that's fascinating in human medicine and pet medicine and human medicine are cheek by jowl in this is the concept of longevity. And we're not talking about a fountain of youth. We're talking about improving the wellness and health of these animals, not when they're 11, like my Wanda Weimaraner is, but maybe when they're 18 months, like Sky the Vizsla puppy is. How do you begin to plan for wellness early? If you're lucky enough to adopt or buy a dog early in their life, how do you begin to implement longevity strategies? So we talk about the Dog Aging Project. I've had them on the show a couple of times. That's citizen science founded by the NIH. And now it turns out not only is there a National Institute of Health, I suppose you know this, that the humans have a National Institute of Aging. So
Hmm.
they're looking at the work you're doing or that research scientists are doing. What are you doing with dogs or cats, but
Hmm.
mostly dogs? And how do we help implement it for humans? So,
Yeah.
what about rapamycin? Now, this is something that you use in your practice. It's being studied by the Dog Aging Project. It was studied. When you mentioned this being part of your practice, I thought it sounds familiar. Seems to me that it was being studied by the Dog Aging Project and then they stopped. Well, it turns out they lost their funding during whatever, and now they got their funding back. Talk about
Right.
rapamycin for dogs because I don't think they're using it in humans yet. It's basically an immunosuppressant for after you've had an organ transplant. Was that its main use?
So I'm going to approach this in a couple of different ways, and that is, yes, prescription longevity drugs like rapamycin are part of the medications that I use every day as part of a longevity strategy. But I would want to make it clear that a lot of folks call me, a lot of folks email me, Tracy, and say, "Gosh, doc, can I have this rapamycin for my pet?" And that's one clear way to extend a pet's longevity. I'm going to get around to answering your question in just
Okay.
1 minute. But I
Okay.
would suggest to you that there may be four different approaches to helping
Whoops.
our
We
pets
just
live their.
lost our audio. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you very much, Tracy, for asking about rapamycin, because the reality is that, yes, I use that on a daily basis for two different reasons. And one is, in fact, longevity. The other is the fact that it is proven to slow or stop and sometimes even reverse the most common cat heart condition, which is a disease
Wow.
called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy or HCM. And rapamycin has been proven to stop that in its tracks in a majority of patients treated. That's huge news for us cat lovers, Tracy, and I'll
Yes.
tell you why. Because 1 out of 6 cats, as they age, will develop hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. And until now, and I speak as somebody who graduated back in 1986 from veterinary school, but until the last couple of years, every time I told you, Tracy, that your cat had HCM, what I was really telling you is that it was time to start digging a hole in your
Yes.
backyard because I
Yes.
had no way to
Hmm.
help these cats. Now, rapamycin, the human
Yes.
longevity, the human immune suppressant, has been proven to be a game changer for these sick cats. But I want to take a step back really quickly and put rapamycin in context because so many people come to me, Tracy, and say, "Listen, I want my dog or my cat to live longer. Will you send me rapamycin?" And yes, we talk about that for sure. But I would submit to you that there are really four different approaches that act as the stools of the longevity, or excuse me, the
Okay.
legs of that longevity
Right.
chair. The first is simply diet and lifestyle. We can talk
Okay.
more about that. The second is your local veterinarian, the diagnostics that they do, the dental care that they can help you with. The third the third leg to that chair is supplements. Supplements that are actually proven, not the BS you and I read about, but that are
Mhm.
actually proven in PubMed and Google Scholar. And then the fourth component of that are longevity drugs like rapamycin and acarbose. So yeah, it's a long-winded approach to say that there are a number of different ways that you and I can help our pets live their longest and best life. And they don't all cost a lot of money.
Okay. So for sure, I like the fact that you're bringing up the first two legs of the chair, but diet and lifestyle and regular vet care, I already cover on this show. I covered it when I wrote
Okay.
the Dog Bible 15 years ago. I talk about it as much as I can without people going, "Yeah, there she goes again. Obesity.
Okay.
Obesity is a disease." Okay. But you can't really just put longevity drugs on top of an animal who hasn't had good dental care, hasn't had blood workups as they get older, and or is obese because everyone's sick of me saying this because they fed their cat kitty crack, which is dry food, which is what makes cats obese and gives them diabetes. But the heart condition, as you said, just like kidney disease in cats, is part of what happens to an aging cat. There is that new drug, Felcian CA, it's got some long name, but that's a new drug just for that cat heart disease. Whereas the
And so, and you're exactly
no,
right, because
well,
Felicin is in fact rapamycin.
oh my goodness gracious.
It is
Wow.
the exact same drug, Tracy. So you're exactly correct.
Wow.
And when I, so let me, and I'm going to jump back and forth a little bit, but feel
That's
free to
good.
edit this if you choose. It sounds like you've covered diet left and center. I
Yep.
think diet thoughts are changing. The old thought of kibbles maybe not quite what the best approach anymore. But I want to speak to lifestyle just very briefly, and that
Okay.
is that if you and I lived in the same house in southern Vermont and we bought a puppy, one of the ways that we can safeguard that puppy's longevity is to not have stairs, is to not have tile or hardwood floors in that home. Because every time the typical dog goes up and down a set of stairs or jumps off of a sofa or slips and falls as mom or dad come home and they're running to the front door, the reality is the damage to your pet's joints, the damage to your pet's spine is cumulative. And the value of good traction, the value of a one level home for these pets, as you and I are trying to maximize both their health and their longevity, is pretty important to us.
Okay, I appreciate that. And you also, in your work, talk about ramps to get your larger dog in and out of
Yeah.
the SUV. These are all
Yeah.
good ideas, but if I do live in Southern Vermont, which I happen to, a single-story house is not exactly Southern
Try to get pretty
California.
rare.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah, and you tell my dogs not to come up and down the stairs about 18 times a day when I go up to change into pickleball clothes, or I go to change into clothes that are for taking them in the woods or for taking them on a windy day,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. So, okay, it's all good advice. But people are like, yeah, cut to the chase. This guy has his
Okay.
finger on the pulse of the kinds of supplements and medications which are going to make a colossal cellular difference. And I think that is the difference. The rest of the advice is good, solid advice. It's good medical advice. It's good veterinary care. But as you said, a lot of vets can talk about that, and many of them do. Not any of them talk about rapamycin or the other supplements you use. Now, one of
Okay.
the things that's crossed my path, and I ran it by you before we began, and you said never heard of it. So I want to know, because this is what'll be true of the people listening, that C15, which is a newly discovered omega fatty acid, also called fatty 15 for humans, which is the dopiest name ever, I think, is now incorporated into a drug for dogs called longevity. Brand new drug. And this discovery of this element, if you will, is very new in human care. Dr. Elizabeth Hodgkins, who everybody knows from my show Cat Chat, was often my partner in proselytizing for wet food for cats, proselytizing against various practices where cats are concerned that are really detrimental. But she's the one who turned me on to C15. I take it and I make sure my husband takes it because it's about cellular health, but mostly your brain, which is the thing. I'm like the rest of me is going to obviously go a bit downhill if I don't keep going strong, but the brain really matters. And for dogs with dementia and other issues that happen as the dog gets older, there are clinical trials of C15 in dogs. So I'm wondering, is this something you would, now that I've told you about it, and it is brand new to the market, made by a veterinarian, or the product they use the fatty 15 that is discovered by this couple who made the company. Would you
Mhm.
consider using it? Are you interested in new ideas? Because it's called longevity. So it's about,
Ah,
yeah, it's
so
like
yeah.
your drug. It should have your name on it.
All right. I like the sounds of that. No, but in seriousness, what I'm going to tell you is I'm open to any approach to
Yes.
help the patients in my care live longer and healthier lives. And so people ask me quite frequently, am I an integrative veterinarian? And so many people have aligned that with just an herbal or just a naturopath. And the reality is, Tracy, that I would tell you that I use a scalpel blade. I use acupuncture. I use laser therapy. I use herbal therapy. I use prescription longevity drugs like rapamycin,
Yes.
and I use supplements with science behind them. And so there's a bunch of different approaches. And I think if you and I don't use every approach that we can for our pets, that they are not going to live their optimal life. So I'm going to be clear about that. And so when you mentioned your C15 product, I had a look and I could not for the life of me find current veterinary studies on its effectiveness. But I will tell you this. You send me those studies, baby, and I'll use it
They're coming
tomorrow.
your way. The
All
human ones
right.
exist, okay? So the
Okay.
human studies exist. It has only come out now as a veterinary drug. Whether or
Okay.
not there have been studies in dogs yet, I have my doubts because to do a study, you need X number of dogs and you need
Yeah.
placebos and you need control groups to do it properly. And for all I know, they've done them. I haven't even questioned them. I was just so excited that C15, fatty 15, is in a product for dogs. The ones for humans have been done. They're peer reviewed, they're published in real medical journals, and we're all mammals, right? Just
No
rapamycin.
argument.
right?
No
So
argument.
yeah,
I think that there's virtually everything that I do within the field of longevity science is, in fact, a trickle down from human
yeah,
longevity
exactly.
science. Because you're just a young girl, but I'm 66 at this point in my
I'm
life.
older than
And
you.
and so longevity and mortality is a little bit bigger concern for me than it used to be. And especially when you and I start thinking about cognitive disease, which in general terms is complementary to the Alzheimer's disease that
Yeah.
humans run into. And I would tell you that there's not a week that goes by where I don't get a request for something to help a pet going through cognitive disease. And
Yes.
right now, the honest truth, Tracy, is that we have very few options that are really proven. And so you show me that your C15, Fatty 15 works, and I'll
Well,
order a couple of cases of it
I
tomorrow.
want you to have cases. I want you to have a pipeline of it because
There you
as
go. Now we're talking.
as
Now we're talking.
you'd be the first to say this, that supplements are not a prescription medicine that you take it and 3 days later you feel different, you feel better. Supplements are meant to be on board, tissue loaded, cellular loaded, and you keep up the level of that supplement if in fact it's a
Yeah.
supplement, as you said, with scientific proof. So I've gotten old, my dog has gotten old. I can't say for sure for myself, but I'm taking it and it's not cheap, that it would reverse any effects of aging if you don't take it till you're older, but it will affect the cells as one goes forward. So I'm wondering how many people come to you for longevity intervention with a younger dog and a younger cat. Because to me, that's the future. The future is not to wait till we're all old and going, oh, I can't remember the name of that store. What was the name of that store again? And you're like, oh God, I might be getting dementia. But we aren't. But the fact is, our brains aren't as quick. So is the Fatty 15 going to help me remember the name of the store? I don't know, but I'm not going to now forget the name of the Yankees, maybe, because I've got to, I don't know for sure. But studies have been done, and it's not just brain. It is all
Yeah.
the cells, and there's many other organ functions. Metabolism is a big deal with Fatty 15. It's supposed to really help with metabolism, appetite, and burning up fuel, food. Those
Yeah. And
aren't
so I think
not of
I
interest to me, but you're interested in obesity in pets. So it'll be very interesting to see how it helps, not with the labs who have that very sad gene where they just want to eat everything all the time, but just dogs who are hungry a lot. I wonder if it
Mhm.
will help satiate them a bit.
I'm very curious about it because, like I say, I'm not going to say 90%, but I'll say between 70 and 80%, Tracy, of every longevity intervention that I use on a day-to-day basis comes trickling down from the human side. Because as you suggest, there's just not the power of economics behind
That's
veterinary
right.
studies.
Yep.
And so there are supplements that people buy on a daily basis that have been proven not to work. And it drives me a little bit crazy because the science is pretty clear about that. And that includes products like glucosamine chondroitin. If you were to go to your neighborhood Costco store, walk down the aisle, you'll find one whole aisle devoted to glucosamine chondroitin to help keep your joints, quote, naturally pain-free. Studies show it just doesn't work. Doesn't work in
Okay.
dogs,
I'm,
doesn't
I'm,
work in humans.
I'm going to
And
I'm going to disagree with you heartily, and it's
okay,
a hearty disagreement is always a good thing.
yeah.
I think that, for example, let me just jump to fish oil first of all, omega-3 fish oil, right? There are constantly studies that come out, whether it's in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, saying, oh, they did a study and it didn't lower heart attacks. Whoever said it was going to lower heart attacks? You don't take fatty acids to stop a heart attack. You take it to saturate all of your cells for eye health, brain health, heart health, skin health. There's many other parts of the body. So when people say the glucosamine didn't help my joints, I would say, no offense to Costco, I wouldn't buy a supplement at Costco or GNC or CVS today or ever. And I spent 23 years living in LA where supplements were very much part of the culture. I go to a company that does third party testing and tests for heavy metals and says, yes, what's in there is what we say. I happen to like the company now. It's privately owned. I like so all the supplements I take, which are multiple, are from them. And so the question is glucosamine with MSM and chondroitin better? Or just glucosamine and MSM. There have been, studies about that and arguments about it. All I can tell you is that I met my husband 8 years ago, very athletic man with knees that hurt when he went up and down stairs sometimes. put him on glucosamine and chondroitin and fish oil, and his knees have never hurt again. Now, that is just a personal citizen science, but I also give it to my dogs and the horses.
Okay.
All the horses I've ever had, performance horses, they give a lot of those supplements, wellness supplements for the horses, include
Mhm.
some of those things. Where Fatty 15 is concerned, it is such a new idea. And I said they don't have studies for the longevity drug. That's the name of the drug, longevity. I don't know they don't have them. They very well might have them. But the things that don't work are vitamin C doesn't cure cancer, which some veterinarians
Sure.
have claimed that heavy doses of vitamin C injected or IV are going to cure cancer. There's a vet who's got a dog food now, and that's what his claim was. And Linus Pauling, that's what he claimed, that cancer, colds, that all of it's a virus. And I think vitamin C is overrated, but I'm not sure about glucosamine. So you're not a believer in glucosamine?
No, there have been study after study over the last 7 years that show that glucosamine and chondroitin just simply aren't any better than a placebo when it comes to reducing joint inflammation. So current science tells us that there are really 4 or 5 different products that do benefit joint inflammation. Things like undenatured type 2 collagen or UC2,
Yeah.
things like fish oil, things like green lip mussel, things like CBD. These are all
Yes.
proven in
Yes.
today's science.
That's a
But
really good point.
some of the things that I sold glucosamine chondroitin for 20 years in my veterinary practice, thinking that it was the right thing to do. And I feel bad about that. But as the science changes, it's important to all of us that we change our recommendations as well. Because although everything that I tell you today, I can defend. I'll put my hand on any
Yeah,
Bible in the land. The reality is that a month from now, a year from now, five
good
years from
point.
now, I might have been proven wrong. And if I do, it's my obligation to my parents, to my pet parents, and to the patients that I see to go ahead and change my mind and change the things I say accordingly.
Okay, then I will do the same. I'm going to go, you're going to send me some of the studies, as long as
Okay.
the studies weren't funded by a big pharma company
No.
that wants me to take Advil instead. I'm making that up. Of course, that's not, Advil's not worth the money to do a study to disprove glucosamine. When I look at those studies, and I'm a good researcher, I will, I won't throw out my glucosamine. I'm too thrifty. I'll keep taking it till it's finished.
They'll
But
do
I
no
will,
harm.
but and I'm on fish oil, so I'm gonna embrace the CBD. As so Ellevet has really good science for the
Mhm.
CBD for pets. Really
They're
good.
the brand that I recommend across
Oh,
the board.
nice. That's so
Yeah.
awesome. I don't take CBD. I'm a little scared of it because I don't like THC. So, and I know there's no THC in CBD, but I don't like to be high even a little bit. So I have not embraced it, but I have capsules of CBD on my shelf. So I think that's what I
Yeah.
should be taking.
Well,
Cute.
it's interesting. So you speak of the company Ellevet, and listen, don't sell their products because, and here's why. I did sell their products, but there's still this funny line in the sand as far as bank regulations go. And so on
Oh,
my website, if I if my website processors, Stripe and PayPal, learned that I was selling CBD products, which are proven beneficial for the
oh
patients in
my.
my care, they would cancel my account. I would be put out of business. And so I do not sell
Wow.
CBD products and I have no horse in this race. But here are 2 things that your pet parents might want to know. One is the fact that I agree with you. Ellevet is far and away the best choice for their pets because they do the research.
They do.
They do the blinded studies that are necessary to prove cause on the one hand and or risks on the one hand and
Yeah.
benefits on the other. The second thing I will tell you is that at least out here in California and in Colorado, the other state where I live, you can buy CBD in every gas station on the corner. And the unfortunate truth is that a recent study came out. Again, this is published by a university, not no private bone to pick. They tested 17 different CBD products that they bought online. They found 3 that actually had CBD in them.
I believe that, Kevin. I
The other
believe that hard
14,
way. Yeah.
the other 14 that were marketed as CBD products had 0 active ingredients. So it's very much buyer beware in
Yeah.
any supplement product, but
Yeah.
especially CBD. Go to
That's
Ellevet if you guys
really-
want
that's
CBD.
that's extremely good advice because any of the supplements that animals take should have the seal of the National Animal Supplement Council, NA, which means that you do third party testing, that you have checked that each batch has in it what you said it had in it, no more, no less. That's a really great point. And where CBD is concerned, there's a lot of complete junk on the market. But you're going to tell me off the air what I should take as a human, because we know
Okay.
that Ellevet is what we should use for the dogs. We've run out of time, Kevin Toman. I think I'm going to have a consult with you. Me as a human, and me for Wanda, the older one, and for Sky, the younger one. You clearly care so much about what you're doing. You've steeped yourself in it. You have this niche, which is, as you said, sad and lonely. No one else is embracing what you're embracing, which is big pharma and no pharma and lifestyle and modalities like acupuncture. I really admire you. I'm so glad you got in touch. I think what you're doing is really important, and if you can positively affect the lifestyle and the lifelongness of just even a handful of people listening to the show, imagine what good you've done. And I know you've done a lot of good already for a lot of pets and their parents. So thank you so much. And I look forward to meeting you when you come through Bennington, Vermont in the fall. I'm definitely going to have you come over and evaluate how many stairs and steps I have. And what the
Okay.
heck am I going to do about that? Thank you so much, Dr. Kevin Toman. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Tracy, thank you very much. I appreciate all the work that you put into your podcast. Your listeners are very lucky to have you in their corner.
You're very kind. Bye bye.
Bye now.